Ready? Play.
Hello, we are actually meeting today with Mario, and I think this will be like a weekly occurrence, at least for the clay season. I think also for the grass, where yeah, we're just gonna meet and talk about what's happened in ATP tennis. Nick is covering WTA, and yeah, as this is our first time, Mario, how would you like to proceed about this? You know, what excited you the most this week about ATP tennis? We just started the clay season. We had three pretty cool events. What was the thing that got you going?
Yeah, there were three, I'd say, pretty different events, one for each other in three different continents. Um, we've got tennis in the USA of the Houston Clay Court tournament, which is not still ended because we have to wait some few hours to know who will be the champion, either Tiafoe or Echeverry, but it's still been and like a weekend weekend event since the rain delayed pretty
Yeah.
much all the tournament till Saturday. Just the I think that on Friday we ended the first rounds there. But of course, fortunately for the organizers, all things went the right way in this weekend. Yeah, but of course we can begin talking about one of the events which has already ended. For example, we can talk probably about Estoril because we've got the most, at least in terms of the names involved, probably the most mainstream final of the week, because of course we got to I'd say pretty famous tennis players like Ruud and Kecmanovic, and Ruud back to winning a title, his tenth ATP title of his career. Yeah, it's been a good week for him, and um, I'd say that he needed also to win to a couple of pretty tight matches uh, to gain a bit of confidence of probably being able to bring his way to fight, which hasn't always been the case in the previous weeks of the season. Um, but of course, we can't call us surprised. I think also that Ruud won the event, even if he wasn't in great shape. Um, yeah, sorry, I was reading the comment. Um, yeah, of course, that's Casper Ruud winning with his trophy. Um, who says 99% of what you read online is written by people that have no clue about tennis. It can be dangerous to spend too much time online. You can start to doubt yourself. I'm happy with who I am. I don't always need to have the cameras around. Other players can do that stuff. What do you think about this sentence?
Is there much to talk about really when it comes to this sentence? I mean, of course, I definitely believe that for tennis players, it is kind of dangerous, to just spend too much time online to read what even guys like us say about them, even though we're pretty nice. And, we still try to be objective, and like sometimes you're going to see some critique. And even if it's right, you don't want to really hear it from like 1,000 different people, because you don't instantly know their qualifications. You don't instantly know if they actually know what they're talking about. So yeah, I think for tennis players, definitely they shouldn't really be yeah, just reading everything they can find. I think perhaps in the future we're going to see a bit of a split between some players, just using social media as actively as they can to just build their personal brand. Some of them, I think we already see that it has benefited them. Like, I don't know, maybe Zizou Bergs being a TikTok star, or Ilya Marchenko, the YouTube channel, and etc. And some will probably get just close themselves off completely. Like, I don't know, Świątek's team is doing that for her a little bit. She is on social media, of course, she is active, but yeah. And Ghibli also says that it's good to be kind, but I can't deny I enjoy seeing pageantry and people are critical. Yeah, some players definitely then don't realize that it's personal, and that this line between being objective and like it being personal can be very blurred. And some players then don't actually know that you mean well. You just you're just saying what you like think about their game, but that doesn't mean you are calling the names or something like that. And yeah, it can lead to some weird stuff, especially when some players on Twitter start following you, and then you have it in your brain and you're like, should I write this, but actually recently Alexander Kovacevic told me that he sees that I've been honest in tweets about him, and that I should keep it like that. So maybe let's finish it at this. I will also, of course, say a few words about Casper. As you said, definitely needed this. There's been a few better matches that he's played recently, like in the past month or so. But of course, it's very different to play well and win a few matches. Sometimes even winning while not playing well can be more important. A pretty hilarious first set against Joao Sousa, where he, despite standing pretty much in the back fence to return, he just couldn't get it clean on any ball. But of course, he just outplayed him in the latter two sets, so it didn't matter. Same with Baez. Quentin Wallace played him so well. Probably we're gonna talk about Quentin Wallace in a second as well. So I maybe leave it at that. But yeah, then the final against Kecmanovic, a bit of a bummer. Sure, the second set was fairly close, but I still expected more out of this. This also actually goes with the comment that Ghibli made earlier, that Kecmanovic being called a big name by Mario. I mean, I think what Mario meant was simply that Kecmanovic Ruud is a better final, like bigger final than Tiafoe Echeverry, or especially Miomir Kecmanovic Baena, of course. And yeah, I very much agree with Ghibli that in many matches against top players, Kecmanovic has not been able to do much. Of course, the Alcaraz match that Ghibli also mentioned, that was pretty amazing. But otherwise, I still think that also it kind of comes from his game. There was this match with Nadal, for example, in Madrid last year, where you could see that against top players, he just cannot hurt them. There's nothing he can really do. He's ultra clean technically, he's super solid, but there's not that much he can do to a top player, in order to finish rallies, in order to just get some winners. Same with Medvedev at the French last year, which we thought he might have a chance at. And today, it's like half, I would say, because in the first set he just wasn't serving well, and one of the most important parts of this run was his serve. But in the second set you could still see that Ruud just has so much more in that topspin forehand than Kecmanovic does, and I'm not sure it's easily fixable. But of course, improving in getting 3 points. So for example, the serve, which for the most part this week was excellent, that would be some kind of a start, and maybe it would help him also play against these elite guys better. What did you think of Kecmanovic's run this week,
No,
Mario?
I think the same about what you were saying about him playing against some top names in tennis, because I feel like he has these qualities, this I would say very very good baseline game, both with forehand and backhand, and he's able to sustain a high rhythm from the baseline, and this I think that makes him very very difficult to play when you are against I'd say the average average tennis players. But when the level gets a bit higher, I think that you can find a way to make the game, I'd say, less rhythmic, less predictable, and then Kecmanovic is not always able to find a way to change a little bit directions and to. I see him struggling a bit to adapt to a game in which he's not very, very comfortable in, while sometimes other player who have had so far a bigger career than him has been sometimes able. For example, I was watching Ruud, and sometimes he tried to serve and volley a bit. He was trying something during this week when he was feeling a bit safer in the matches, and I think that probably Kecmanovic needs to add a little bit of variety, and I don't know how is it possible, because I know that everyone has his kind of tennis, the game in which he feels more comfortable, and yeah. But sometimes when you play guys that can stay in the baseline battle with him, yeah, he needs to find a way, because he struggles a lot. And for example, we saw against Medvedev, you was talking about that match, and it was pretty much easy for Medvedev, because he couldn't beat him with his most important weapons, and then it was like a game in which Medvedev was just staying there and doing his job. And today it was like that in the first set, and then in the second set I feel like it was close, but also because Ruud hasn't been so killer in this second set, because I felt like he could have avoided to keep it so close, in my opinion, watching how tactically the things were going on.
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely a few breakpoints as well, which could have allowed Ruud to, just clinch it earlier. In the end, it's the same result. Certainly great for him. He should be playing in Wednesday in Monte Carlo, probably Tuesday at the earliest. So I also don't think it will impact his performance there, and basically, probably will be he will be fine there. There was something. Oh, okay, John, you need to learn how to spell Cecchinato. That's all I'm gonna say. By the way, Dominic Thiem was the other big story this week. Was he?
I don't know.
I would say Quintelis was the much better.
I'm a bit critical too.
Yeah, and that's not even because I obviously am a big fan of challenger guys suddenly breaking onto to the big stages, to the events like that, to just having huge runs at the ATP level. But still, I don't think there was much to discuss, really. Thiem just lured us once again. Thiem just once again had a pretty decent match against Shelton, who of course was playing for the second time. Like Ghibli says, I mean, Thiem winning 2 matches against bad clay players got us all overexcited. I mean, Offner is not a bad clay player, but he's a cut below the level in Estoril. And Thiem says stuff like, in practice, I was feeling so well. I was hitting my forehand so well, the spin was there, the power was there. And then he has that absolute stinker against Alice. And it's exactly the same as the thing that happened against Molchan in Buenos Aires, when he first beat Molchan and then he lost to Varias. And Thiem plays a half decent match. We're like, yes, he's back. Yes, let's watch Alice versus Thiem. And then he's I mean, that was a rough performance. As as much as I can say a lot of good things as well about Quentin Alice this week, and in general, it was just really a match that Thiem lost, himself, and it didn't seem like the forehand had improved as much as he was as he was talking about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll take as a positive thing. I still take the fact that at least he's been able to win a couple of matches, which wasn't the case for all the rest of the year. So at least he was back in a quarterfinal, and yeah, then he played bad against Halis. I mean, so I don't know what what to say about that. Of course, he's split now with his coach Matsu.
Yeah.
A great partnership, must be said, because with him, team won the most important things of his career. He won the Indian Wells Masters and the US Open, and made so there's also has to be mentioned. But I think that aside from that, his way is still long, and of course, I can understand all the fans getting a bit excited, because, of course, everyone would like to see him back to a decent level, and so I don't blame who was a bit excited, but of course, yeah. I mean, also, yeah, Alice was playing very good tennis, but it's also the way he lost the match, because, okay, losing it could have been okay, but
Yeah.
of course, the performance was not good at all, and yeah, so we can't say that much about Team's Road, in my opinion. Still, let's see, because
Yeah.
he has not an impossible match, in my opinion, in Monte Carlo tomorrow. Let's see how it goes, and he
Yeah.
needs at
I
least
mean,
to win a couple of matches in several events to to make us to feel to say something.
and a match against someone who's like actually, an ATP Tour player with a good form, and let's say just comfortable on clay, because of course Shelton wasn't really, and Offner, just maybe a bit below. Anyway, we all want Dominic team to come back, of course. I think even his haters at this point would like to see Dominic team peak again, but we're gonna believe it when it happens, because for now it still looks like that wrist injury took too much out of his forehand. Anyway, Quentin Wallace, the elephant in the room, I guess. We've mentioned him many times. Semi-final run on clay, which is pretty crazy for him. And it's just wonderful from like my perspective, seeing that guy completely dominate challengers in 2022, and even earlier than that. Of course, he was a fantastic junior and etc. But 2021, at the end of that year, I remember there was like a patch where Quentin Wallace was so close to like getting huge runs, but he kept losing matches after being match point up. For example, he lost like 4 in very quick succession, and then of course he has that fantastic first half of 2022 and just bounces off the ATP level in 2020 in that year. And seeing this right now, and also the fact that he's already covered for his 2022 challenger points, more or less. So I think he's just one of the guys who, if he keeps up this form for the summer, especially the months like June to September, which last year he wasn't winning any points basically in that period, he can just have a fantastic career high at the end of this year, or maybe like in September. And definitely deserves it right now, because right now he just looks like an ATP Tour player. And John said that Alice easily could have won that title. I mean, he wins one tiebreak against Ruud, and he's like, what, 50-50 against Kecmanovic in the final? Something along those lines. I mean, we're assuming that probably Kecmanovic delivers a slightly better performance than he did against Ruud if he plays Alice. But the Frenchman is certainly one of these guys who can just take the racket out of your hands. Is
Yeah,
there
of course,
anyone,
he would have had a
Mario?
chance.
Mhm.
Yeah. Of course, he would have
Yeah,
had a chance. So
yeah.
yeah. No, of course, talking about players jumping in the ranking, I have to say that we're going to have a new ATP top 100 player from tomorrow, who is Alexandre Muller, who of course was in the Marrakech final. I know we were talking about Estoril so far, but probably
we can jump. I thought you were gonna I thought you maybe will want to talk about Cecchinato as well, but if not, we can go straight to Marrakech.
It can we can still stick with the with Estoril and talk a little bit about Cecchinato. Yeah, I mean, I think that on clay he has the level to play well in at least in ATP 250 events. Yeah, I also I watched. I didn't watch the match against Davidovich Fokina. To be honest, I watched him against Fognini, and Fognini had that issue, which probably makes a little bit tougher to judge his performance. But of course, he was in the semifinals for the first time since quite a lot. And I also, of course, I think it's been a good week for him also because he is trying to enter the Roland Garros entry list. I think that these points should guarantee him the place in the main draw. So if we want to be more cynical, we can talk also about this point, which is not secondary for the players. So yeah, of course, it's been a positive week for him. We're going to see how he does. I think that he's going to play some challengers event in the next week, and also I think that he entered Banja Luka, if I'm not wrong. So let's see how he does, because yeah, he's been able here and there, even in his worst year, to make some good runs in these kind of events. But he needs to find a little bit of consistency to be able to re-enter probably the top 70, 60 in the ranking, which I still think it's a long way for him in terms of level, to be honest.
Sure. And as you sort of hinted at, I think we might take it to Marrakech now, where, as you said, we got a new top 100 player. It was Alexandre Muller someone you expected in the top 100? Not even like at the beginning of the year, but maybe in like a month ago. Was it someone that, crossed your mind that he might break the top 100 in a second?
Yeah. I don't know. I saw some. I remember watching him live playing in the Barletta Challenger, but last year in 2022, and he lost in the first round against Luca Nardi. I remember very well that match, and I think that in 1 year time, a lot of things have changed, because because in that moment I felt that at least on in this condition, on clay, there was probably a very big difference between the two players for what I saw in that match. And probably it was the case 12 months ago. But now we have Muller in the top 100, and but I think that he's been able to find a lot of confidence, and of course this helped him to keep going in some kind of fights. I for example, I watched the match against Musetti, which we could talk a lot about, because probably you won't expect Muller to win after Musetti wins like 6-1 to love up in the third set after winning 6-1 the second. But of course, we can talk about Musetti's lack of confidence. We can talk about Muller going for his things in that match and build his run. But also he did some good things in other events. For example, in Doha, I remember he played a good tournament, and I saw him doing some nice stuff in challengers also lately. Yeah, I'm watching your face. I don't know.
He was in the final in Waco. No, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
sometimes
I
it's
just
a little surprise, but you don't know, tennis is not always so easy to judge and to and to predict. And of course, it's been a good story to watch him in the final.
Yeah, I am frankly very surprised. I kind of understood that an opportunity like that was in front of him, like a month ago, let's say. He isn't really defending much until his Blois title in June, which was his maiden challenger trophy. Frankly, he's just very limited, for a top 100 player, I think. So that kind of tells me that he might not be staying here for that much. But of course, 150 points from Marrakech. That's gonna keep him afloat for a while now. And that final in Waco that he made Doha quarters, as you said, I think even from the qualifying, so some extra points as well. It's going to keep him afloat. I think the event in Marrakech in general, in the latter stages, the quality was quite poor, especially when we have like the direct comparison with Estoril. We don't really have it with Houston because, as you said, like it's been rained off. It's been like a weekend event, also a different time zone, and
but the
Estoril
final is
Marrakech,
really good, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna try to stay up to watch it, but like we don't have the direct comparison between the levels. I just mean, and we have it between Estoril and Marrakech, and it's kind of even with the match that team played against Alice in the quarterfinals, it's still. There's been so many I think it also comes from the fact that for Kotov, for Miller, these were the biggest matches of their lives, right? So it's natural that in the key moments they were just pushing, they were just blatantly pushing. Even Kotov, who for some moments of the match, he of course had this beautiful flat forehand that he can be very aggressive with, but still in the latter stages of both sets, he was just straight up pushing and trying to beat Miller this way. The final as well, I think both players, even though Carballes Baena already had a title, I think both were just absolutely, they had something in their pants and they just played an absolute grind fest, which of course, like with these two players, you would kind of expect it, but you could still feel the nerves. And also there was that match between Kotov and O'Connell, which had some wild moments. A lot of these players simply felt that this is their opportunity. This is the moment when they can do something special. In the end, the one that did it is Alexandre Muller. In the past few months, he's got some great wins, like Pir Musetti, Botic in Doha, and also there was one against Gasquet here. Maybe it counts sort of as well. So fair play to him. I don't want to quote Stefanos Tsitsipas and say something about the few tools that he has. It's open. I'm gonna let Alexandre Muller prove me wrong and actually make a long-lasting ATP Tour impact. But he's certainly been one of the more unexpected top 100 debutants for me. Probably one of the most unexpected ones we're gonna get this year. Purcell, I guess, was already one of them, but I would still sort of expected more from the Australian. I think even if he wasn't focusing on singles, I mentioned something about. Sorry, I was just reading the chat and got distracted. I mentioned something about Roberto Carballes Baena, of course.
Yeah, of course.
The second ATP Tour title for him. I think it was slightly less impressive than the one in Quito in terms of like the strength of the opponents, in terms of his level. Even I don't think he ever truly hit his best in this one, But yeah, he's done it, and yeah, personally, I am very happy to see it, because this is one of the guys who, over the past, let's say, 5 years since that Quito
Yeah.
title, you can constantly see how much he's well, how much work he's putting in, not only in like every point, but also like in training, and just trying to make something out of not much. Again, like this is also a guy who 5 years ago would probably say, how is he winning an ATP title? How is he breaking the top 100? But he's constantly getting some good work on how to elevate his game. Added that really sweet serve down the tee that we talked about during the Australian Open broadcasts. Just feels much more comfortable playing offense. It wasn't really visible in the final. I just don't think he's in that good, that his form right now. I don't think it's as good as it was in 2022. I don't think it was visible in the final, also because of his nerves. Having been there before wasn't really giving him that much of a comfort level as I thought it would be. But he still took the title, and fair play to him for that, of course. And as I said, personally, very happy to see that, because this is a guy who I think truly deserves to have this one more, at least, title in his cabinet at the highest level. What did you make of Roberto Carballes Baena this week, Mario?
No, of course, it's been also not easy for him, because at some point in the tournament, he is practically became the favorite to win the event, probably in giving also the other semifinal. What was the other semifinals? So it hasn't been so easy for him to play this role. Also in the final, because I remember in Quito he won against Ramos Vignolas, and in 2018 I think that he was a big underdog in that match. And probably sometimes it's easier when you play a very important match of your career as like the underdog. While he had to play a super important match, because of course we don't know how he's 30 years old, so we don't know how many more titles is gonna win in the ATP Tour in his career. Probably some more, but it's not something that is going to happen a lot for him. I think that it was also his second final in the ATP Tour.
Yeah,
if I'm
yeah,
not wrong.
only two finals.
Yeah, so it hasn't happened so often, and probably and not probably. I think that it's not going to happen often in his career. So I don't think that experience. I didn't think experience would have played a role, and in fact, it hasn't been the case today. But still, great job for him, because at some point in the final, it's really been difficult. I'm thinking, for example, when after losing the first set, he's been up a break in the second, but then he's been broken back right after, and probably in that moment he could have had some issues in that part of the match. But of course also Muller started cramping in the third set. But still good job for Carballes Baena. It's been like a marathon tournament, because he apart from Kecmanovic, who retired after 2 games, he played all 3 setters all the week. I can only say congrats, because of course he is now holding the trophy, and regardless of the way he won his matches and the way he played, and he reached the goal, and so it's off to him. Also, I'm seeing the trophy. It seems like he won the Champions League.
By himself. He beat Barcelona in the final. I guess Alexandre Muller. He beat Alexandre Muller in the final, so he probably beat like Olympique Lyon or something like that in the final. Who else do we want to talk about from the Grand Prix Hassan 2, or however you want to, Grand Prix Hassan that's the second. I don't know how to read out the name of the tournament, but you kind of mentioned Musetti earlier. Is there any like more thoughts that you want to give to him here? I don't think I've watched a single match from him in Marrakech, so I can't really chip in.
I'm not expecting very big things in this moment, but to be honest with you, I was expecting to win in that quarterfinal against Muller. I saw he struggled in the first set, which he lost, but then he won 8 out of the 9 following games, and I thought like, okay, mm, I was watching also the match, and he was in control in that moment. He seemed like okay for as for today he escaped, um, and he's find a way to go through and to adjust to Muller's game. But then suddenly, um, you saw him how he was. mm, yeah, he has some inexplicably some ups and downs during the matches, and sometimes he finds 3, 4, 5 very good games, and then he has 4, 5, 6 horrible games right after, and so it's a little bit difficult uh, to understand, at least when he's playing players who, especially on this surface, you think that he's going to probably to beat them before the match. Um, yeah, it's difficult to understand what's going on because um, I don't think it's 100% a technical issue because, yeah, he still has a lot of things to improve and to work if he wants to stay there in around 20th, 25th position, because I think that as for now his tennis is not there. But still, I think that there's a lot of mental stuff for him to fix because um, sometimes you see like, okay, he's found a way, and right after, like nothing. The way he lost that third set, it was a bit. I don't know, a bit inexplicable to understand because he lost 5 out of the last 6 games, but he seemed in control at some point of the match, and mm, against a player which was a bit of a surprise, as you said earlier. So yeah, I was expecting more, even if I wasn't expect probably the title. Probably this would have happened against Carballes Baena, given his state today, Musetti's state. I mean, probably I would have expected a bit more.
Yeah, as I said, I did not really see either of these matches. I've read that after that one against Gaston, that he was like looking great. Maybe some of that was also, yeah, just people wanting to see him do well again. Musetti's win-loss record for the year is like 6-8, which doesn't sound that tragic, but it is tragic when you really delve deeper into it, right? Like he won
Yeah,
4
there's
matches to
the
start the year.
United Cup.
Yeah, and he was, of course, Italy's number 2, and he played Meligeni Alves, Durasovic, Michalski, and Sakelaridis. So, yeah, I mean, 2.5 challenger players, and one guy who's like more, yeah, just straight up an ITF player. So it looks, yeah, I mean, it looks decent when you just look at the numbers, but it's actually not. And yeah, it's hard to say when he's going to come out of this. He also has a pretty tough opening round in Monte Carlo with Kecmanovic, who could be tired after Estoril, but I'd still favor the Serbian there, given just the difference in their forms. One more player maybe that we should mention here was a fantastic round from Andrea Favasori, also an Italian. We're getting a lot of Italian action here, which I guess is it happens on clay. Vavasori, of course, one of the, like, let's say the most fascinating players of the last 2 years, almost giving up on singles at some point to then suddenly come back into it and just get so many amazing results. I think he still does not have a professional title at any level. No ITFs, no challengers. I think he also hasn't won a single juniors title. So basically, Andrea Vavasori has never won anything in a sense. But of course, he has made a number of good rounds at the challenger level, 2 finals, and now also a main tour quarterfinalist. And yeah, he had an amazing win against Damian Muller, which was like over 3 hours. Just a guy who really understands, what his assets and what his liabilities are, and I think he's able to use it to perfection, even on a surface that theoretically shouldn't suit certain volleyers. But of course, with Vavasori, that's not really true. He's done well everywhere, and perhaps he's even done better on clay than in other conditions. Although you could probably argue about that. Wimbledon qualifying campaign that he had last year, that maybe this was his brightest moment. He was a qualifier in Marrakech, beat that 16-year-old sensational Reda Benani, and continued playing like that. I wonder if maybe, if that match against Munar doesn't happen, if he's not as drained for the quarterfinal against Evans, maybe he beats him there, because it certainly seemed like a match that he should have some sort of a chance in. He kind of did. I think he was up in the second set or something like that, like maybe 5-2 or something along those lines, but didn't end up winning, which still of course the best run of his career at like the age of 26, 27 or something, whatever. 27, soon to be 28.
No, I know him very, very well, because I had the pleasure to interview him several times. And but you said practically everything. So I also find him a very interesting player. He had a lot of issues also regarding the schedule, because also with singles and doubles and the ranking difference, he also has had a lot of things to fix in the calendar in the past years. But all the work he put in, and all the matches he played, singles, doubles, and challenger ATP Tour, helped him a lot, and his level grew a lot in this couple of years. And let's see. For me, he can. He's the kind of player who can have some nice rounds here and there in the tour, because he is also able to find a way in different surfaces and conditions. He's played well on clay, but he had that Wimbledon run, and he won his first ATP match in Stockholm, I remember. So he proved to be able to do something nice, even in ATP challenger levels, pretty much everywhere. I'd say he of course plays a lot on clay, because in Italy challenger tournaments are 90% of them are on clay. But I think he enjoys probably more faster conditions, and so I'm interested to see how he does in the next months, because he's reached a maturity that I think can use his experience in a lot of matches and situations right now. And so let's see how it goes. And then we can change. We can change.
That was what I was about to suggest.
Because we were talking about a very, very potential good final in Houston, because we have Tiafoe and Echeverry, which I think they are two players I'm enjoying pretty much in this 2023. Echeverry is not his first final of the year, because he was in the final, if I'm not wrong, in Santiago. The final he lost against Jarry. And so he reached another final, and he also played very good matches throughout the week. For example, the one against Garin was, mm, I think, very, very, very well played in some parts of the match, serving well, hitting well the forehand. Yeah, to be honest, I think that he has the quality to stay near the other Argentinians player who are above him in the ranking, to be honest.
Yeah, like who's you actually like I never thought about this, but I'm gonna just see like who's the highest ranked Argentinian player right now. Is it like Baez at this point? Yeah, it is Baez by one spot over Cerundolo and then Schwartzman. But yeah, it's kind of feasible, for Echeverry to join these guys. Maybe if they fall off a bit, because it's still a long way, let's say to 30 or something like this. But still, I am certainly quite a big fan of Thomas Martin Echeverry after watching him for the past couple of years on the Challenger Tour. Just a relentless guy who, he can go 4 hours with someone and just still hit ridiculous forehands. I'm glad that he's finally started to show some better performances on hard courts as well. Maybe it makes sense, that Houston is going to be good for him as well, because, well, it's like a hard court on clay. Of course, he likes the clay, but I think the conditions with just a more normal bounce and can really suit the sort of game that he is trying to produce. Certainly a great win over Garin. My Houston watching has been a little hampered because of the schedule over the weekend. I've been going to bed a bit earlier the past couple of days because of Easter stuff and my family and etc. So I don't know if I'm gonna make it until the Tiafoe Echeverry final, but I would certainly love to see it. And this is something that I've been sort of waiting for when it comes to Echeverry. In 2021, he had this few great matches during the Golden Swing, and then in 2022, it did not materialize at all. So I definitely thought that this Golden Swing is going to be the place where he gets a huge run. He did it on the 4th attempt, but still, of course, came so close to winning the title against Jarry in Santiago. And it's great that he gets another chance. I think he also doesn't really defend much in the European clay season. He had some good runs in March, beginning of April, but then not so much. I think he even played the Green Clay Tour in the States last time. So there's plenty of points to gain. And yeah, he totally has the game to be like a top 50 player quite soon if he can keep it up. And does he have a chance against Tiafoe? We're gonna see. I am frankly unsure how to, what to think about this one. I mean, you have to think that Tiafoe is the favorite, but I definitely don't see Echeverry as someone who just has to lose it or something like that. That's pretty impossible. And as you mentioned at the beginning of the show, it's kind of impossible to talk about Houston without mentioning the rain. I saw a lot of comments on Twitter and the internet where people were just crapping on the tournament organization. I don't know if we should do that because, is it really their fault that over 3 days, basically you couldn't really get any match done? As you said, on Friday, they only played a few games to finish round 1 so that we can have 2 rounds here and 2 rounds on Sunday. 2 rounds on Saturday, 2 rounds on Sunday. It didn't really mess up people's scheduling that much. Tommy Paul decided to withdraw out of Monte Carlo, and apparently his coach was quoted saying something like, "We want to go for titles now, even if it's Mickey Mouse." Well, Houston, it's a 250, but still, of course, you'd think that Tommy Paul being in the top 20 would prioritize the bigger events. Apparently not so much. And Tiafoe is still in the Monte Carlo draw, which probably is going to make him a big underdog against Lehečka, given the fact that they're going to have to play Tuesday, right? They have to play Tuesday, so
Yeah,
it's not
Tuesday
going
for
to be
sure.
easy. Yeah, so maybe what do you think about that sort of attitude from Tommy Paul and his coach that they want to prioritize Houston? Of course, it didn't pan out, but like, what do you think about it? And like, yeah, just generally, not taking into consideration the fact that after withdrawing, Tommy Paul lost in his second round match to Yannick Hanfmann.
Yeah, I definitely would not consider the fact that he lost, because you can't know it before.
Yeah.
Yes, to be honest, given the fact that he still had to come to Europe to play the other events, probably I would have tried to do the sacrifice to come in Monte Carlo to play at least one match, to be honest, because it's still an important event. You know how your body and your tennis can react um, to the surface, because for example last year we saw Taylor Fritz. He was in Houston. He lost, I think, on Friday, but then he had a very good run in Monte Carlo, playing
Almost went out to Lucas Catarina though, right? So it
yeah,
had a
but
shaky start, maybe influenced by this.
yeah, you're right. But if you find a way to come through maybe the first match or the first couple of matches, then you don't know how. In my opinion, you will never know how the draw can look like, and how your body reacts to the trip, to the surface, to all the things. But I also can understand that probably sometimes you can, I don't know, risk some kind of injuries, probably
Yeah.
doing some things. So it's also difficult to withdraw from an event when you're already in. Yeah, I don't know how to judge, because sometimes other players have withdrawn a lot later. And so probably it's also nice that he took a stance about playing the event and withdrawing from it. I don't really know how to say, because talking about myself, I would have come in Monte Carlo, to be honest, but
I would have
I
played both. Frankly, I would have just did
yeah,
it. I would have done a Tiafoe, play Houston, play Monte Carlo. Like if I'm tired, whatever. As you said, it might lead to some injuries, but I mean, usually it wouldn't.
I would have done.
Ghibli
Yeah, I
Ghibli also
agree.
says that Houston could have moved everything indoors like that. Auckland's tournament, of course. Yeah, like Ruud played Jere indoors, and whatever the matches were, like Brooksby, something, Alice, maybe, no, sorry, something like that. Anyway, I think the reason that they gave for this is that basically there's no indoor clay courts in Houston.
Yeah,
Even if there was one, like it would be green clay, not red. Of course, the red clay in Houston is still hard true, so it's like only really red in terms of the color, but it's like a combination. It's definitely closer to green clay than like the European red clay. But anyway, like that was the explanation, that they just don't have this sort of an indoor venue, which is probably right given the state of clay courts in the US. And yeah, I think it still panned out right. Like by Friday, a lot of people were shouting, cancel the tournament. At which point do they let these guys just go to Monte Carlo? I kept telling everyone that if only they finish basically round one by Friday, then it's very clear, right? Just to play two matches on Saturday, play two on Sunday. That's exactly what happened, and I think I totally get like just trying to stick with it, although it was kind of funny, of course, and it's something that we're probably gonna keep mentioning for like a few years when an event is rained off a bit in the middle of the week. It was certainly just a pretty weird occurrence. But we've had ATP Tour events finishing on Monday even before, so not that big a deal really, as some people tried to make it out to be. One thing though that the tournaments could improve, and that's not only for Houston, like that's for every single event out there, because I've seen it at some others as well. Just buy the court covers, like cover the court with whatever, it helps a lot when there's issues like this. One of the events that I've been to live that was just really it was really struggling with the rain was the one in Warsaw at Challenger in 2021. There was just one edition. Later, it got turned into that WTA 250 that was there last year. And basically because they had nothing to cover the court with, it was also just a complete mess. The center court was unusable. That was also why Leo Borg withdrew and etc. And they actually bought the covers midweek. So why did Houston not do that? I always just think that buying the court covers cannot be like it has to be worth it just to avoid all these issues, right? It's just a bit of fabric.
Especially tournaments on clay when
I mean it's only really clay, right? That can be
because
affected
on hardwood
this much.
you just have to sometimes you waste probably an hour, half an hour if it's in a lot, but you can find a way. But on clay sometimes it can be really difficult.
The court is not going to become a swamp on anything else but clay, but on clay it happens. Any other like standout performers that you've been impressed with in Houston other than Tiafoe and Edge?
Okay. I've lost you for a second.
Okay.
No, of course we had to the other two semifinalists of the event who played today, which has been Hanfmann and Brouwer. Hanfmann, I saw him doing some nice things on clay before. Probably Brouwer not so much, more on other surfaces. But we know that Houston is a bit particular. He's a thing of his own, regardless of everything. I think that I haven't seen that much, of course, like you, because of the time zone and all the rain stuff, which made the tournament a bit difficult to follow. Because also, for example, yesterday there were matches going on, and sometimes I saw Tiafoe playing the quarterfinal, and I thought, oh wait, Tiafoe finished like half an hour ago. But okay, and still, I mean, the most important thing for these players who had some probably a bit unexpected runs, at least for I'd say casual fans. The most important thing for them is they have gained experience, played good players, gained some good points, and now they can try to build a more solid ranking for the next part of the season. And also I'd say that as regards Tiafoe, I would say that it's also a big chance, because he is now comfortably a top 20 player. I think it's he's also in the top 15, but it hasn't happened a lot for him to win ATP titles. He has only one, so it can be a nice chance for him to start building a less empty cabinet, at least talking about ATP events. To be honest, I'm very interested in that final, because I'm also interested to watch how the thing will play out with these two kind of players. I agree with what you said about the prediction. Of course, Tiafoe must be considered the favorite, but I will be surprised if I see something like 6-2, 6-2, or something like that, because I think that Etcheverry has the weapons to play a good match, and to try to put some obstacles on the road for the Americans. So I'd say that I just say that I'm interested to see how the final will look like.
Yeah, you're very right, of course, that Tiafoe has won ATP title, which could add to the pressure that he's going to feel. I wouldn't really say that the last ones he lost were like, anything terrible. In Estoril last year, he was basically just constantly running away with it, despite not playing that well. Lost 500 finals to Zverev or Fritz, so nothing really wrong. Just about his Brouwer, maybe quickly, it's the fact that he was born in Houston, which I actually never knew.
Yeah, you're right.
I found out about it this week, which kind of puts adds another layer to this run. Of course, this was also where his big breakthrough happened last year, when he had that in the qualifying. There was that weird thing where against Steven Diaz, the umpire already called out game, set, and match Diaz, and then he went to check out the mark, and it turned out that the match point isn't actually the match isn't actually finished, and that they have to play, and Brouwer won it and then made the quarterfinals. Now he went a step further. Earlier in the year, he has already played for a top 100 debut in the Rotterdam quarters against Talon Griekspoor. Still quite far off, though, at this point, because he is, if I remember correctly, like 60 something points away. Soon he's going to defend the final in Tunis as well. So it is possible that he's not going to do it. I think, again, he was playing for it, or like he would have been super close if he beat Tiafoe. But of course, that was a pretty comfortable win for the American. But yeah, I had no idea actually that he was born in Houston, which last year was just never really came up. But of course, by now he's made the two biggest runs of his career in Houston, along with Rotterdam, I guess. So that's kind of interesting. And we are slowly coming towards the end, but there's a question from Ghibli that we should probably talk about. I think Tommy and Frances chasing titles is sensible. It's just telling that they realize they won't win any big title, hence they need to chase the smaller ones. How many big ones has Casper won? I mean, I guess it depends on how ambitious you are. If I'm Tommy Paul or Frances Tiafoe, I want to win the big titles. Chasing, it's hard to say. I mean, if you're Tiafoe, who has already had so many huge runs compared to Tommy Paul, I think, then maybe getting that smaller title is a bigger deal, I think, just not having won only in Delray Beach 5 years ago. But when you're Tommy Paul and you're like only getting to the top 20 and etc., I don't know if it's so important. I mean, big ones, Casper, does he have a 500? I don't think he does, right?
No.
Yeah, I think it's only 250s. But if you make the the ATP, if you make the finals in the ATP finals, and you make the finals at 2 Grand Slams and a Masters 1000, like how many Masters 1000 finals? 2 of them, or no, 1 of them, right? Miami only, I think. Yeah, if you make 4 big finals in a year, I think it kind of covers your lack of big titles. Of course, it's not the same, but
but
it's not something that's really a big, thing.
Even if resume. I think that the thing is that if you play and you put all the effort in, you can reach 4 finals in a same year, and maybe you can win 1 big title. And I think that this speech can be applied also to players like Tommy Paul and Frances Tiafoe, even not making a comparison about the player, but but Casper has built his rep and confidence by winning, so Casper is reaching big finals, supports Francis and coach chasing small titles. Yeah, okay. Or now I got it. Yes, but I think that the deal is withdrawing from the big event. It's not like playing a lot of 250 uh, tournaments, which can be good and helpful. Um, but I think that the deal we were talking about Tommy Paul, it's the fact that he withdrew from Monte Carlo, which is kind of different than, for example, playing the tournaments back to back. I think that this was the biggest deal. We weren't criticizing Tommy Paul for playing Houston. That was the thing. I think that we need to explain this. We were talking about him deciding to withdraw from the Monte Carlo Masters.
Yeah, I think he could have played that. I also get like what Ghibli's talking about, because there were certainly moments in Ruud's career where he prioritized the smaller events. I think especially last year it was a bit of a conversation topic that maybe now all these, Geneva, Gstaad titles are probably not going to be as important for him. I think he's also talked about trying to mix up his schedule, but I get what you mean. Like he got to a high ranking, and like now he changes his strategy. I don't know. Um, yeah, pulling out of big tournaments seems odd. It seemed really just too, like, it seemed premature from Tommy Paul. That's for sure. Maybe there's another reason for it, right? Maybe it's not only what he and his coach said. So maybe there's something else as well. I don't know. Maybe he's just not the kind of guy who goes from a continent to continent and tries to play in 2 days.
Yeah.
Frances Tiafoe will try, but against Iji Lehečka, I don't know if I like his chances. Do we want to just, I don't know, briefly for like 5 minutes talk about like who has, in our opinion, the biggest chances to go deep in Monte Carlo and finish off there? I think that's probably fair, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mario, what's like your who are your guys to watch? Who do you think is gonna take the title? We've had just 3 main draw matches in singles, of course, on Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah, I say that Djokovic hasn't done really well in Monte Carlo in recent years, but probably this year has a good chance to be back doing well there. I think also the draw has been quite comfortable for him this time, because last year there was also a little bit of unluck, because playing Davidovich Fokina, giving also all what he did in the week. Probably afterwards we can say that he also had not so much luck playing him. While I think that this year he had a sweeter sweeter draw. So probably playing two nice matches, he can find a good shape to go all the way. Yeah, we of course have to watch Tsitsipas, because he hasn't looked great in the Sunshine Double, but he won the last two editions of the event, so he has a kind of a love story with the Monte Carlo, and um, we're going to see if this is going to continue this year. And of course we have I think a lot of things to watch about the top players, because of course we want to see Medvedev, because his confidence is high in this moment, and so probably is one of the biggest chances of his career to make the good year on clay, because he doesn't love the surface, but his confidence probably can help him to be more patient and to try to find more solutions. And of course, there's Casper Ruud that we want to see how he goes after winning a title in Estoril, and Sinner, because he played well this year, is number 4 in the race, and so it can be, for example, very interesting to watch a potential quarterfinal with Djokovic. But let's see if both goes there. Yeah, and of course, also a lot of story, because Monte Carlo is always the place where some, I'd say, smaller name has some kind of run. It has happened a lot in the last years, even if we are not really talking about small names. But I was thinking, comparing about the top seeds. For example, Davidovic, Fokina, Fognini, Ramos, Vignolas has been in the final.
Lajovic, I guess, Fognini.
Yeah, Lajovic against Fognini. Yeah. Yeah, and of course, I remember a bit of curious thing to close my long speech about Monte Carlo. It was that in 2019, I remember that Medvedev beat back-to-back Tsitsipas and Djokovic, and then he was 5-1 up in the first set against Lajovic, and then he lost straight away 11 out of the 12 following games. But who knows, probably given all what happened in the next years, it would have been kind of hilarious to have him winning the first Masters event on clay. It could have happened. Yeah, I don't know. There are a lot of things to watch, and of course, for first big tournament on clay, and so there are also a lot of question marks. We hope to be able to answer to them.
Yeah, I think, also after that Medvedev match with Djokovic, he just seemed like the best player in the field for sure. He also made the final in Barcelona right after that. Of course, got crushed by Dominic Thiem, but still, yeah, it certainly didn't seem like Medvedev was going to have the sort of clay hate that he went on to have. Yeah, I would be surprised if like the winner isn't between Djokovic and Tsitsipas. I'm not sure that will be the final. Like, I think there's a pretty big chance that Tsitsipas doesn't get there. It's really dependent on the the state of his shoulder injury. But in general, in the bottom half, there's like other than him, there's not that many title contenders, unless we think that maybe Casper Ruud is gonna get that big title, which is very possible, of course. I think maybe Rune has a good. I just like his draw a lot, but he has been like so and so in the past couple of months for sure. Not necessarily showing that he can deliver the sort of Paris run again. Medvedev, I don't think he's winning the title, but yeah, winning a few matches, that wouldn't be surprising at all. And just if I'm thinking about it right now, I don't think Sinner can beat Djokovic and clay in the quarters here. Like, it's very early after the Sunshine Double, which was very taxing for him. I don't really see it. I think he has a very good chance of getting
Rublev
there.
can play good tennis on clay.
Yeah, I mean, he's had the best win of his career against Nadal in Monte Carlo. You could maybe argue with Federer in Cincinnati, but it's Nadal on clay. It's something different, I would say.
Yeah.
So
In Monte Carlo, not only
yeah.
on clay.
Yeah, like Monte Carlo, but anywhere on clay, right? You would
Yeah,
have to get
you're
Nadal
right.
to like Houston or I don't
Yeah,
know,
of course,
something Mexico City or Viña del Mar, where he lost to Zeballos in order to have a win over Nadal. Don't mean as much, but yeah, that's a fair point. But yeah, that was one of the best matches of his career, 100%. Of course, the Masters 1000 final that he lost to Stefanos Tsitsipas, the two-time defending champ. So yeah, I think the winner is going to be either Djokovic or Tsitsipas. But yeah, as you're very right that in the past few years, Monte Carlo has been a little weird. I think the biggest aspect of it is the fact that it's so early after Miami, and not everyone, like a lot of the performers who are deep in Miami, Indian Wells, they might struggle a little bit. We saw it with Alcaraz last year, for example. losing to Korda in his opening match. We also have plenty of withdrawals compared to the other Masters 1000 events. Some of that because Miami is so close, and some of that because it's just a non-mandatory event as well. So yeah, probably we're gonna
even
get
if
some
probably
surprise.
it can also be better in some way, because if a player is injured, they can withdraw without issues.
I mean,
Play in,
let's not talk about this because, of
Yeah, I
course,
know.
Tsitsipas could have withdrawn. But nah, I don't want to get fired. No.
Yeah,
It's okay. But yeah, for Stefanos Tsitsipas, who well, someone told him something that yeah, just got lost in translation, I suppose. For him, it's good, but he definitely wants to play in Monte Carlo, though, because of course he is the two-time defending champion. He defends 1,000 points, and it's been the best event for his career. I think he doesn't have any other 1,000 titles, right? He has like a lot of finals, Canada, Madrid, Rome, but nothing
yeah.
else in terms of
He's
the finals.
three. He's 315 in finals above 250 levels.
Oh
He
yeah,
won
because he
3
has
out
that
of 15.
yeah, he has that insane ATP 500 record, and of course the Grand Slam final. That's kind of funny though. I never like thought of it this way. Combining all the levels above the 500, above the 500 one. But sure. Oh, Cincinnati was the Masters 1000 final.
Yeah.
I was forgetting, against Borna
Yeah,
Coric.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, I guess that's gonna be it. I hope you guys enjoyed
Yeah.
it. We are going to meet like this, as we said, in a weekly cycle. Hopefully, for all the Sundays, we're gonna be able to both be here. But of course, otherwise, we're also gonna figure it out and have some sort of a show for you anyway. And yeah, any closing thoughts?
I guess that's it.
That's it then. So that's a note to our producer, to Karazov. And yeah, thanks. See you guys later, and some other talking tennis productions.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
Dominic Thiem, sadly his fairy tale run in Estoril is now at an end.
Brought to you in association with Sagres Cerveja, brings you Talking Tennis.
Miomir Kecmanovic, a tennis player. Wow, Casper Ruud is into his first final of the year, turning around what has been a largely so Dominic Thiem, sadly his fairy tale run in Estoril is now at an end.
Brought to you in association with Sagres Cerveja, brings you Talking Tennis.
Miomir Kecmanovic, a tennis player. Wow, Casper Ruud is into his first final of the year, turning around what has been a largely so Dominic Thiem, sadly his fairy tale run in Estoril is now at an end.
Brought to you in association with Sagres Cerveja, brings you Talking Tennis.
Miomir Kecmanovic, a tennis player. Wow, Casper Ruud is into his first final of the year, turning around what has been a largely
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.